Right, we're back for another video. Now this is our work van. This is BF Performance's work vehicle, and what we found on this is we're going to do a bit of a suspension upgrade. Now it's just fixing an issue which all T5 and T6s do have. Now when the bushes get worn in the lower arms, you get to a junction and you go to set off, you put a bit of power down and you get this thud underneath. It almost feels like it's underneath your feet. You get this thudding noise. Now when I get it up on the ramp, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the lower arms and we're going to fit some new poly bushes to the lower arms, and then that should fix and solve that problem. As you can see on our van, we are running 20-inch wheels. Now it's quite common on the T5s and the T6s for people to be running like 18-inch, 19-inch, 20-inch, even bigger sometimes. And what that does is that puts more pressure on the suspension. So this is why we're also doing this upgrade, because it will protect the suspension and not allow as much movement on those bushes and stiffen it up a lot more as well. I think it's a good upgrade if you are running bigger wheels. Right, whilst we've got our van here as well, whilst we're doing some suspension upgrades, let's have a little bit of a walk round and I'll show you some of the stuff that we've done to it. Now we've had this van for 12 months now in fact, and in them 12 months we'll show you some previous pictures of what it looked like, because it was a standard van, completely standard. It was a Highline model, but it didn't look like this when we bought it. I'll just show you some of the trick bits that we've done to it, and also tell you some of the things that we've got as well, which we're going to make some videos on. We've got some more upgrades that I want to do. I'm not happy with the brakes. I want to put some bigger brakes on, and I also want to put a custom exhaust on there. We're custom exhaust makers, so I think we've got to have an exhaust on our own van, definitely. So what I've done since we bought the van, I mean, I say I, but it's our van, it's our work van, and the lads, we've fitted this new front grille. It's a badgeless grille. We've also done the eyebrows. That was a nice little touch. We've then changed the front bumper. We've put a new splitter on there, and then we've also added the lower splitter as well. We've had this red accent, which I quite like. At first, we actually put little red strips on here, but they were only stick-on, so we took that off and we ended up changing it for this one because I think it adds that little bit more, it adds that bit more beefiness to the front end. I'm really happy with the front of this van. We've also done some things to the side as well. Let's have a look at those. We've put the angled sidebars on here. We didn't go for the round ones because with the front end being so sort of like angled in a way, I just didn't think that the round ones would look right. So we went for the angled sidebars. We put 20-inch Riviera wheels on there with lower profile tyres. As you can see, the brakes through there, they're not looking great. I think they look too small, so that's why we're going to do a brake upgrade. That's going to be a video very, very soon. We've then had the wrap. I mean, that was a massive change to the van. I mean, we had all the body kit done first. We got it looking as we wanted to on the bodywork, then we got it booked in for the wrap, and as you can see, it's different on both sides. My daughter helped design some of the actual logos on, because as we went back and forth to the actual wrappers, they couldn't quite get the design right. So we sat down on her iPad, she's really good at doing stuff like that, and we drew out the bits that we wanted and where we wanted them and positioned everything, and then sent that to them and then took it into the wrappers, and then this is what they came back with, and I'm really, really impressed with that. I think it looks pretty amazing. As you can see, the back brakes, they're standard still. We are going to do an upgrade to those. We are going to put some drill discs on there, probably paint the calipers. There's not many things you can do to the rear brakes on these other than that really, is drill discs, paint the calipers, get some performance pads in there. The back of the van, it didn't have a spoiler on. When we bought this van, there was no spoiler. We've added that on, had that painted. We've also then changed all the badges to black ones, including the black Volkswagen badge, the transporter badge, had that painted. The rear of the van, I'm not happy with it. I mean the bumper is standard, but I'm not happy with that. I think it deserves definitely some sort of diffuser at the back, and then the custom exhaust just to finish the back end of the van off really. We fitted the tow bar for the time being, but that's going to come off. That's not staying on. There's no way that's staying on. We don't need it, so. And as you can see then, this is the difference at the other side. This is the BF Performance, the custom exhaust logo. The van has also had a VMAP. It was 150 breaker standard, now we're at 180. As engine mods, we might do some more engine mods. We might actually do some, I think definitely it's going to deserve a custom exhaust, which will go from DPF back. And what I've got in mind is probably a quad exhaust, 2 at each side, in carbon fibre tips. I really liked what we did to the Golf R. After looking at those tips and how they worked out, I think that this would definitely benefit from them and enhance the back of the van so much more. Interior wise, I'll show you the interior in a minute. We have put some R-line seat covers on there. What else have we done to the interior? That's pretty much it, isn't it? But what I do want to do is eventually I want to get rid of some of the cream in there, because it's got a beige. In fact, it's not really cream. There's like beige on the door cards, there's a beige roof lining in there, but I think we need to blacken that really, and maybe even put a bit of wrap on the dash. As you've seen on previous videos, Jason did a bit of a wrap on his dash, with that sort of forged carbon look, and that, to be fair, I really like the look of that, and I wouldn't mind a bit of that on my dash, to be fair. So that's it, let's get the van in and let's make a start and get those bushes fitted. Right, this is the movement I'm talking about, and these are the bushes that we're going to be changing up here. Now, as you can see, once I bar behind this lower arm, you'll see the amount of movement. And not only that, you can see from the side view, you'll see the wheel moving backwards and forwards. Now those bushes have gone so soft that it's allowing the arm to move so much. Now you could replace these with genuine, but they are genuine. They have never been replaced in 100,000 miles, and they're not a solid bush. They're only rubber at the top, at the bottom, and then there's a gap down each side. So I just feel that replacing them with even genuine ones again, it will, with the size of the wheels, it will just do it again. So we're going to take these lower arms off, and we're going to fit new bushes in there. We're going to take those bolts out of there, one out of there, one out the front, ball joint, nut off, and take that lower arm off, take it to the press and press that bush out. You can see how much movement there is there, and when you're putting power down, the arm moves that much that way and it thuds and makes this thudding noise, and that is what you can hear inside the cab. Right, so before we start removing any nuts and bolts, I think it's worth putting some WD-40 on each one. It'll just help them come out, and usually, especially under these transporters, they're always rusting up. So, oil all those up ready, taken up. Now, to remove the ball joint, that's a 21mm. These bolts as well that hold the actual arm onto the subframe, they're also a 21mm as well. So let's remove those. There's 2 bolts there, with nuts on, and there's one for the ball joint there. What's under this is 21. I mean, if you haven't got one of these guns, you can use a spanner. They are quite tight though. Doing both sides, so that's why you're going to see me doing one side and this side at the same time. Just going to speed the process up. Now as that starts to loosen, it will start to turn the nut on the other side. I'll go and get a 21mm spanner. fold it on the other side. And this front one, it's a bit tight for room, so I won't be able to get my socket in there. I'm going to have to use a spanner on one side, probably a spanner as well on the other side to loosen that. Let's see how tight this is, see if I can undo it with a spanner. Oh, it's tight. Because these ball joints are a taper fit, I'm going to have to give the arm a bit of a shock with a hammer, pull down on the arm to release the ball joint, take those bolts out, and then that's the arm off. Just shocking it around the actual ball joint will allow it to release. And that's that done. Let's take these bolts out. Now, there's never really anything wrong with the front bushes. As you can see, they're a solid bush. But you'll see there on the rear how many gaps there are at each side. The ones that we're going to be changing for the poly bushes are a solid bush. We'll show you them now. Right, these are the Powerflex bushes that we've got in specially for doing this job. Let's open the packet up and let's have a look at the bushes inside. Just make sure they are the correct ones. I did order them for a transporter T5 and T6, so I assume they are right. Yeah, they do look correct. Those are going to fit inside there once we've taken out the old bush. And then in the middle you have a metal sleeve which the bolt goes through. And go inside once the bush has been fitted. So let's take the old arm over to the press now and we'll press those bushes out. If you haven't got a press, I mean there's other ways of getting this bush out. What you could do is you could drill it and then carefully cut the internal sleeve and then knock it out. That's an old-fashioned way of doing it, but we have got a press here, so we can use that to press them in and out. The bush, as you see, it just drops at the last minute. Turn this out. That's the old bush out. So now that we've got the old bush out, what we'll do is we'll clean up inside there. That's what it mentions inside fitting instructions. Clean up the inside. Then we can push the new bush in there. That's quite easy to do. You don't actually need a new press, which you'll see in a minute. Now nice and clean in there, free of any debris or any chunks of metal. So you must remember to fit the bush in the correct way. Now, reading on the instructions, it wants you to put this thicker lip on the outside, which will be, when you put it on the back on the van, that will be at the rear, the very most rear of the suspension arm. It doesn't say to use any grease on the inside. So what we'll do is we'll push this in. As you can see, it fits quite nicely. Very easy. but it does mention to use some silicone grease, which comes supplied in the packet on the metal sleeve, which is going to go into the middle there. Let's apply that grease. It's just a silicone based grease, that's all it is. That way then it won't damage the rubber or rot the rubber over time. If you use a petroleum based grease, it's not good for rubber. That's exactly why they supply you with a silicone based grease. There we go, pop that inside there. That is now ready to be fitted back on the van, and then I'll show you the difference between the movement on these bushes and the original ones. Let's get this refitted. Gentle persuasion into place. Right, for all you Newton meter junkies, these are the torque specs for these bolts. We're going to torque them up now. The lower ball joint, it does list 60 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and then for the bigger bolts, it does list 110 Newton meters plus 120 degrees. So I'm going to set the torque wrench now, do the ball joint first. That's got to be 60. Tighten up this 60 Newton meters first. That's it. Now let's go 90 degrees. 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. 110. I don't think I'll be able to do 120 degrees. Not with this torque wrench. Roughly. Right, now that the arm's back on, all torqued up, I'll just show you the difference now with the movement in the bush, and you can literally see I'm pushing on the bar and there's very, very, very little movement at all. That's going to stiffen that up, and it's going to eradicate that knocking noise. And not only that, because of the big wheels, there's going to be a lot less movement in this and because there's less movement in this, then the wheels stay in track at the same time, so it eradicates any tyre wear. With the old bushes, there was that much movement in the wheel, there's a good chance that you would have got uneven tyre wear. But now that we've sorted this out, that should sort out any tyre wear problems and also fix any knocking noises. Right, that's the job done. We fitted those new bushes. Just reversing the van back out, it did actually feel a lot better. It felt a lot firmer on the suspension, reversing, and also I just think when you come into a junction, you just will not hear that thudding anymore. So please like and subscribe. Now, if you've got a transporter, T6, T5, what modifications would you do to your van? Maybe comment below and we'll have a look at those. I even do some of those modifications to this van. So that's it, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. No bloopers in this. There were never any bloopers in this video whatsoever. And if there is, then Jason's made them up. Didn't happen. Repeating myself a lot there. I'm repeating myself a hell of a lot there. Now please hit the like and the subscribe button. No, please like and subscribe this video. Subscribe. Oh, please like and subscribe. Is that it? Please like and subscribe.